movies this week, we have a new live-action Lord of the Rings movie in development, a new movie adaptation for the American Psycho story, and Ki Hugh Kwan, I think is how you say his name, Short Round, now that he's all grown up, he's getting his own John Wick-esque movie. There's quite a bit going on here. Let's talk about it. Hello nerds! You have found the place for all of the nerdy movie updates worth talking about. More than just comic book movies, though that is a good chunk of what we cover here in the news. We get nerdy about all kinds of movies, as well as the art of making movies in general. If you like this kind of news reporting, then go check out the full show over on the main channel called The Week in Nerddom, where we talk about TV and comic books and gaming and rumors and etc., everything in between. You can find the link to that down in the description or at the end of this video. Now, let's hear about all that movie goodness, shall we? Let's get into follow-ups and corrections for movies this week. Our follow-up is the Section 31 Star Trek movie. Started its life as potentially a series and is evolved into a movie. We now have a release date for it. It is Friday, January 24th of 2025. We will be seeing Michelle Yeoh reprise her role for the Section 31 Star Trek movie. That's what we got. That's the only follow-up we have. So let's go into trailers now. We got some pretty great trailers this week. First off, we have The Electric State. This is a new Netflix movie that is going to be starring Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt. So you've got, what is it, Eleven and Space Lord? Why am I brain farting his name? Anyway, also directed by the Russo brothers, so even more Marvel ties. And legitimately, this cast is gigantic, but it seems that the rest of the cast are going to be bit parts or cameos and not so much starring them. But it's a post-apocalyptic movie that has to do with a robot uprising that's also seemingly fairly family-friendly. So it looks legitimately entertaining and also safe to watch with the kids. So can't really go wrong. Go check out the trailer. You'll see what I'm talking about. Next on the trailers for movies, we have Love Hurts with Ki Hugh Kwan. I know I can never say that name appropriately. Short Round from Indiana Jones, good lord. Short Round from Indiana Jones. Also, he was in The Goonies when he was a kid. And now he's all grown up. He was in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And now he's getting a John Wick movie called Love Hurts. Yeah, basically that's a new genre of action film, is John Wick. Where it's a retired assassin of some sort who gets reactivated after he's kind of aged, and then he gets underestimated by whatever villain is going after him. In this case, it is our main character's brother, and kind of crazy, awesome action ensues. We got it again. John Wick was the first one. We got the Nobody series with Bob Odenkirk, and now we're getting this one. So, yeah, pretty interesting. The trailer looks legitimately good, though. I'm kind of here for this new subgenre of action movie, I'm not going to lie, it's pretty entertaining. But then our final piece of trailers for this week in movies has to do with a movie called Street Trash. Thank you, YouTube algorithm, for showing me this trailer. This is strange, right, that zombies can be used as social commentary, but like honestly, this is a different take on the social commentary that zombies are generally used for. So that's a little bit refreshing as far as what's presented, at least in the trailer, and has me intrigued to definitely check out the movie. So go check out the trailer and maybe you will agree as well. That's what we have for trailers this week. Let's talk about some regular ass news. First up, we have an update on the Bob Iger situation, which isn't really a follow-up necessarily because this announcement was just made. But if you remember previously, Bob Iger, when he got reinstated as the CEO over at Disney, he was only supposed to be there for 2 years, and here we are approximately 6 years later, and he's still the CEO, and his contract is coming up again at the end in 2026, and he is officially going to be stepping down for sure this time. There will not be another contract extension. as made very clear by Disney as a company. He will stick around with the company until 2026, but in 2025 they will name a proper successor to Bob Iger. So we will be keeping tabs on that. Next up, let's talk about Lord of the Rings. This one's really interesting because this is another live action adaptation of the Lord of the Rings. It is not an adaptation of the Holy Trilogy of books, nor is it another adaptation of The Hobbit. This is something new. It is also not going to be directly related to the Gollum movie that we also know is in production at the moment as well. I still believe they're in pre-production. I don't believe that anything has moved forward as far as photography goes with that movie, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about another live action movie. This one has been made known to be in existence by the original co-writer, where'd her name go? Philippa Boyens, who co-wrote the original trilogy and the Hobbit trilogy as well. She has clarified that it will, again, not be a second version, or a sequel rather, to the Gollum movie, Hunt for Gollum. That will not be a multi-part movie series. Also, it has been made known that Gandalf will be part of the narrative, and that it will tie directly into the Peter Jackson sexology, the 6 movies, the Hobbit movies and the Lord of the Rings movies. It will tie directly into those. It will exist inside of that universe. So hopefully they read some Tolkien before they make this one, because we all saw what happened with Rings Power. Rings Power is not correlated with the Peter Jackson movies at all, so don't get that twisted. But that is what we know about the new Lord of the Rings movie. It's no title, no release date, no anything like that. We just know who's going to be directing. It's going to be Philippa Boyens, who again co-wrote the original 6 movies with Peter Jackson's team. And then we have another remake. Let's talk about this American Psycho remake that has been announced. We know that director Luca Guadagnino, I think that's how you say that name, who directed the Challengers movie, has been brought in to do the remake for the American Psycho. Lionsgate is billing this as not a remake of the first movie. It is going to be a quote-unquote reimagining of the story from the book written by Bret Easton Ellis. Ellis, if you'll recall, was not a super fan of the first movie with Christian Bale starring as Patrick Bateman. Really, that's all we know about this so far. I believe Ellis eventually came around to the American Psycho movie, just like he came around to the Zero movie. I don't know that he's really come around to any of the other adaptations of his work, but irrelevant to the fact that this is going to be going forward. So a lot of people will put up a red flag when they see that word reimagining of X, right? So it should be you should be reminded, I guess, because this is fairly well known, this is common knowledge at this point, that the original American Psycho movie was in fact directed by a woman. She also, I believe, co-wrote the screenplay for it. So like all of the crazy psycho stuff that happens in that movie was kind of signed off on by, I don't know that she identifies as a feminist, but like still pretty woke liberal type woman in Hollywood, right? So very interesting that would be the vocabulary that they use to promote this new version of it. But this is not the last we're going to be talking about this. We will be keeping tabs going forward, but also we have some rumors about this in the rumor mill this episode, so stick around for that. That's though what we got there. And then speaking of John Wick and its new subgenre existence in the action movie oeuvre, if you will, we now have word that there is yet another John Wick movie in the works. That is correct. Yes, I know he died at the end of the last one. That's not going to be messed up by the existence of this movie, because it's going to be a prequel to the movies that already exist. And even better, it is going to be an anime, because ostensibly Wick is going to be younger in those movies than he is now, and they're not going to just de-age Keanu Reeves for an entire movie. That's ridiculous. So they're making it an anime. And so the story that they're going to be telling in this anime is going to be what it was that Wick had to do in order to retire. The big, I forget exactly what they call it in the mythology of the movies, but the big thing that he had to do in order to retire. That's pretty interesting territory. So I feel like this is going to be something that fans of the franchise are really going to get behind. Younger fans, I guess, more appropriately, because like Gen X and Boomer fans, because there's plenty of them, of this aren't really going to understand an anime necessarily, because that kind of art form was a little bit beyond their time. But I don't know, maybe everybody will enjoy it as well. They freaking should. It is going to be directed by Chad Stahelski. Chad has been associated with Keanu and the director of the live action movies since they all met on the set of, I believe it was the second Matrix movie. So yeah, this is a relationship that's been around for a while. It's a very interesting situation. Follow the link in the description if you want a much more detailed breakdown of what's going on there. But the long and the short of it is we're getting another John Wick movie. It's going to be a prequel and it's going to be animated. That's what we have for regular ass news this week in movies. Let's talk about our suggestion. We're going once again a little family friendly. A suggestion this week is also a free movie. You can stream this for free over on Pluto, and it is Paranorman. Just super fun animated movie, man. Has to do with Halloween, very specifically has to do with Halloween and zombies and dead people and how this kid can see them and talk to them. It's actually kind of heartwarming at the end of it, so it's really cool. It's again zombies as social commentary, but again a switch on what that social commentary is. It's not. It's the one that we talked about earlier in the section is status, class and status commentary, and traditionally what it is consumerism commentary. This is growing up. This is kind of the awkwardness of being a kid. This commentary on that through zombies and stuff. So it's a very unique take on the subgenre, and honestly, definitely worth a watch. It's a fun watch, and it's free, so go check it out on Pluto. That is your suggestion this week, Paranorman. That brings us to the end of the video, nerds. Thank you very much for joining me for the news. Once again, there is a full and probably much more up-to-date and recent episode of the news, the full-length version, if you will, called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, linked down in the description, and probably link popping up somewhere around my face right about now. So click on that, go check that out as well, or if you prefer your news in more truncated pieces, then by all means just stick around here and go check out some of the other stuff we offer on this channel. Thank you very much for joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember, nerds, that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.